When you watch good iron ball strikers, some of them sway a little more, some of them sway less, but pretty much all of them, if you look at the top, this right hip starts inside my right ankle and stays inside my right ankle. So my hips have turned and stayed centered. Okay, that helps me with my hand path depth on the way back, and I don't want to have too much shifting off the ball. I should have some pressure in my feet shifting, but my mass of my body's not moving to the right. I want to thank today's video sponsor, Sunday. It's an annual subscription company that provides you all of the lawn care products that you need, from fertilizer to weed control to seed, all customized based on your region, climate, soil, and yard. Sunday always uses simple ingredients like seaweed, iron, and molasses to keep your lawn free of harsh chemicals and pesticides. And the best part is you don't even have to think about anything. Once you sign up, they're going to send you everything you need right to your doorstep. So here's how Sunday works. Type in your address to start your lawn analysis. Get your customized lawn care plan in seconds. They'll also analyze the results of your personal soil test to zero in on any deficiencies and update your plan from there. Sunday ships directly to your door, and it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to spray the nutrients on your lawn. Then you can just sit back and watch it green. It's that easy. Really, what I want is for you to spend less time out working on your yard, on your lawn care, so you can spend more time out on the golf course. That's why I love Sunday for you. Be sure to go to getsunday.com/Eric Cogorno Golf and use code ERIC20 to get 20% off. All right, guys, so in terms of hitting your iron solid, I want to review a couple of setup pieces from face on, and then during the backswing, how to make the backswing without any excessive hip swaying and too much shifting to the right. You know, we do a lot of swings at CogornoGolf.com. We appreciate all of the support, those of you taking advantage of the free 14-day trial. And with all these swings, certainly I see a lot of the same pieces. And so this video, you know, I've been doing at home several times per day. Okay, so we figured we would redo this so that you also get the benefit of these to hit these checkpoints. This is designed to hit the ball solid with your irons. So the first thing that I see going off all the time is the setup from face on. There's several key points we'll go over. And the second thing is the hip swing and the weight shift, which we'll talk about at this practice station. So here's what I would like you to do. I've got a 7 iron. Let's pick a 7 or 8 iron in your hands. So here are the checkpoints I want to see from face on. Number one is the feet should be, the ankle should be slightly outside the hips. I like to see both of the feet slightly flared out. So if straight forward is 12 o'clock, I'd like the left foot towards about 11 and the right foot towards about 1 o'clock. In terms of weight distribution, the hips can be right in the center or the belt buckle slightly forward. Okay, weights 50-50. If it's not 50-50, it can be, you know, 55 on my left. If anything, it'll be slightly forward. Now, here's a big one. The handle location should be slightly forward. I see a lot of handle locations too far back. I see the handle location too far back. I see the arm too bent. I want to have the hands inside the left thigh so that the shoulder, from the shoulder to the club head, this arm and shaft make more of one straight line. Hands inside left thigh, left arm straight, and your arm should be like in front of you with your elbows closer. I'm seeing a lot of arms on the side with the elbows bent. Anytime my arms are on the side, the elbows are going to be too bent, too far apart. I should have my arms in front of me so my elbows are closer. So the feet are wide, the feet are flared, hands inside left thigh. I'd like to have that lead arm be pretty straight, in a straight line with the club shaft. And then left hand grips or lead hand grips. I mean, man, am I doing a lot of lead hand grips. And that's basically having this snuff box turn strong enough. I'm seeing a lot of grips too weak. That means it's too much in your palm. Okay, this snuff box area I have, this little purple dot, I see sitting on the left side of the shaft. When your grip's too weak, the face is always going to be too open. When the face is too open, defined by the toe behind the heel, your downswing is always going to be steep, and or from face on, you're going to early release it. So we have to get the grip correct. You have to get this snuff box on the right side of the shaft. I should see 2 to 3 knuckles, the V between my thumb and index fingers at my collarbone. Hands forward, lead arm straight in line with the shaft. I've got the grip turned stronger. Okay, the ball position, I like to have 2 to 3 golf balls inside the lead heel. It's basically straight underneath my lead eye or my lead ear. Now that's several pieces, but they're all important. It gets really easy to do. I do all that in my swing now. I think about 0 of it. Not one part of that do I think about. Now I had to put some of that in, okay, but your ball striking is going to get more consistent. So handle forward, feet flared, ankles just outside of hips. I have my hands inside left thigh, arm and shaft in a straight line. Snuff box is on the right side of the shaft. Arm is fairly straight here. Now I also am seeing a lot of hips back, chest forward. So reference my belt buckle and my shirt buttons. I either want those straight on top of each other, or I want your shirt buttons slightly behind your belt buckle. I do not want them in front of it. I want it behind your belt buckle. Okay, so if we just hit with those pieces in there, those are the pieces that I really want you to feel. The weight's 50-50 or slightly forward to 50-50. This is what I want the setup position to look like. Let's just hit one from here. Now, the second piece that I'm seeing, you can't see that, but that's a nice high little 7-iron draw down there. The second piece is weight shift and hip sway, and I'm seeing these go together. Now, listen, at CogornoGolf.com, we work with a lot of players that shoot on the low end 75 and on the high end 110. We don't really do beginners. I don't really do players that are shooting 65s. So, you know, a lot of us that are in that 75 to 100 range that aren't hitting it solid, we're going to have a lot of these same issues. Certainly you can overdo any of these things, but the majority of players I'm seeing, the hips are going too far to the right. And I think a lot of that's in an effort to shift too much weight. So here's what I'd like you to do when you're hitting your irons. I have this little object behind me. In a lot of the videos at home, like I'll put a chair there. You can put any object just to the right of your hip. Basically what I want you to be doing is I want you to have an object about an inch to the right of your hip. And you should just never hit it, right? That's the simple version. When you watch good iron ball strikers, some of them sway a little more, some of them sway less, but pretty much all of them, if you look at the top, this right hip starts inside my right ankle and stays inside my right ankle. So my hips have turned and stayed centered. Okay, that helps me with my hand path depth on the way back, and I don't want to have too much shifting off the ball. I should have some pressure in my feet shifting, but my mass of my body's not moving to the right. Anytime I sway, I kick my hips to the right. You just stand up and kick your hips to the right and see what happens to your upper body. It leans too far towards the target. Okay, that's one main issue. And also anytime I sway, I don't turn. Now, if I sway and don't turn and I go back, my arms are always going to lift too much. They're never going to go deep enough. Sway to the right, no turn, hand path up. So from down the line, no depth. Now from down the line, if you looked at this swing, where does it look like I'm going to swing? If I have any rotation on the way down, I'm going too far across, too steep, poor contact. Okay, so we're gonna have an object by the right hip, get the setup pieces correct, get the hip inside. Okay, this is gonna be part number 2. So there's a little bit of pressure shifting in my foot. Again, make sure you have these setup pieces right. Arms are in front of you. The bottom part of my left tricep sitting kind of on the side of my pec. Hands inside left thigh. Snuff box is turned over. Weight's neutral. Now, as I go to the top, I keep my right hip inside of that. Now, I have a tendency of overdoing that. That would be a good problem for most of you. If you overdo that, you're gonna get a little bit too deep, you're gonna swing a little too far from inside, you're gonna hit pushes and hooks. I shot 68 last time I played. Okay, so like that would be a good problem to have. But you can overdo those pieces. I just like, you know, you don't wanna go too far forward, but you don't wanna hit this thing, right? That's the idea here. You don't wanna hit this noodle. So 1 inch inside of that, you can keep it on, you know, pretty close to it during the takeaway, but from the takeaway to the top, get that right hip turning inside of that. Then you should be getting slightly farther from that as you start down. So setup piece is correct. Keep the hip inside of that on the way back and down. Now again, you want to monitor that, you know, from face on. Sort of our general practice routine, what I like is 20 to 30 reps per session. And I like to see 2 rehearsals, hit a ball, check it on video. That's like the stock thing I like to see. So when you check on video, you would be drawing a line down your right leg. You want to keep your right hip inside your ankle and have whatever line you draw here, just create about 1 inch of space. Not 6 inches of space, just about 1 inch of space. Okay, 1 inch of space on the way back. So the goal here in terms of the weight shift is you can have some pressure to the right without your right hip going to the right. The other thing I would monitor, and we can flip this, and in fact, we'll take a little break here and I'll show you how to do this, is as you're doing this turning, I also would like to see the head staying fairly centered. Like if you can get the setup, keep the hip inside the line, and keep the head centered, the odds of solidness at contact go wild up. So let's pause for a second. I'll show you that head-centered station. Okay, so I just wanted to add in this head-centered station as this is another one I've been doing at home a lot as of recent. Essentially, and this might not work perfect because it's windy out, but you'll get the general idea. I want to have an object about 1 inch to the right of my ear, okay? And if you're struggling with solid contact, then I'm speaking to you here, There's no reason to have excessive motion off the golf ball. You can move off the ball as long as you move forward, but my experience of seeing a ton of swings is 1 out of 100 do that well. 99 out of 100 who move off the ball don't get back forward enough and struggle with contact issues. So in with the theme of getting the setup correct, getting the hip turning inside the ankle, also the head motion. Because listen, I could move my hip inside the ankle and move my upper body way to the right. I don't want that either. I would say no more than an inch of head motion. Basically, when you take a setup, draw a circle around your head, keep it in there. Okay, so what I want to have happen is my head doesn't hit this. And then in transition, my head can move slightly down and forward when I'm hitting an iron, but it doesn't hit this on the way back. So just like having your station here, this is another option that you can put up here, about 1 inch. Hopefully you guys can see that there. And I would do the same thing. I would get the setup correct, do 2 rehearsals. Without hitting that, you're gonna feel a bit more centered if you're used to moving off the golf ball. Pressure can move in my feet, but I don't want the mass of my body moving. That's the theme here. So I'm gonna keep my head inside of there. And there's another solid strike. So as your head stays more centered and your hips more centered, that should help you take a divot, move your low point more forward, solidness of contact, really all of them. So again, you got to monitor these things. That's why we like to do 2 rehearsals, hit a ball, check the video. 2 rehearsals, hit a ball, check the video, so that when I look at the video, then I know I overdid that, I underdid that. You can have your hips move too far away from the target or too far towards the target. What I'd like is for them to stay on the line during the takeaway and go about 1 inch inside. Your head, you can move too far towards the target, you can move too far away from the target. I see way more away from the target than I do towards, but you could have both of those. So if you're someone, let me just go back over here for a second. If you're someone who moves your head, let's say you sway your hips and move your head towards the target, use this same station. Get your hip turning inside the wall, but then feel like your head actually gets a little closer to the noodle, right? Just reverse engineer it. The point is you can use these practice stations for either one. If you're like me and your hips move too far towards the target, use this, feel like your hip stays against it. Okay, so just reverse engineer whatever the process is there, but I see more of the off the golf ball. And those setup pieces, while there's several things, and I understand there's several things, you're not gonna have to think about them forever. I don't think about any of those things, but I put them all in and they all help my ball striking. And so I would be looking at each one of those elements from face on. And guys, we're still doing the 14-day free trial, okay? Send your swings and you got nothing to lose. I'm gonna personally analyze your swings. I'll show you which one, if any of these elements or anything else you gotta be focusing on to help you improve your game. We'll put that link down below. We'll put a card on the screen as well. If you guys have any questions as normal, go ahead and leave a comment down below.